Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jay.
All right, Jim. So the Vikings are 3-0. They beat the Texans decidedly, just hammered them yesterday, 34-7. Your thoughts on that Vikings win?
Yeah, I wrote about it today. I think right now you can say the Vikings are the best team in the NFL. 3 impressive victories. They destroyed the Giants. We thought the Giants were terrible. The Giants have actually played better against other teams and won yesterday. They beat an excellent 49ers team. I know the 49ers are 1-2, but we still know how good they are. And the Texans, hey, they're an exceptional team. And they added quality to a roster that took them in playoffs, got them a playoff victory last year. And, I didn't expect this start, but the one thing I did say going into the season was if they get off to a fast start, it'll probably be because Brian Flores has the ability to confuse and harass young quarterbacks, even good young quarterbacks. And I thought Purdy had to play really well to get 17 points on the board last week. And yesterday, Stroud did not look like himself. He looked constantly harassed. He wasn't sure where to go with the ball. He just didn't look like the guy who's impressed us so much in this early part of his career. And that's all Flores and his defense. He just gives different looks after different look. He has players he can move all over the field. He has depth. He had 2 defensive starters out yesterday, and he still won. That was impressive. So now they've hit up 30 points in 3 games, 2 of them to high-powered young quarterbacks. They have the second best point differential in the NFL, and the team that has the highest lost yesterday and didn't look as good as they had previously in the Saints. There are only a few undefeated teams left. The Chiefs win again last night. Of course, they still deserve the title as the best team in the NFL for what they've done the last couple of years. But who's playing the best right now? I would say the Vikings.
How did this happen, Jim? I mean, you went through a lot of the details and, the coaching and things like that, but is the Vikings to go from being a team that some picked to finish last or third in the division is now 3-0 and in consideration for best team in the league?
A lot of it is coaching. O'Connell has done wonders with Darnold in this offense, and he hasn't had Addison or Hawkinson yet, and they're doing this. Flores is an exceptional defensive coach. I think number 1 is coaching. Number 2 is I think Kwesi has kind of found his way, and he made some mistakes early, and now he has really started playing the game. He lets Hunter go, and he replaces him with 3 guys who can rush the passer. Lets Cousins go, and they're able to. I think it's a really good marriage between Adolfo-Mensah, O'Connell, and Flores. Not just going out and getting good players, but good players that these coaches know how to use well. Finally building out the offensive line where it is a positive force instead of something they need to overcome. Roster depth goes back to Mensah, Adolfo-Mensah. I just think all those things have just played together beautifully for 3 weeks now.
Jim, how about the play of Sam Darnold? Is Sam Darnold's play – we've seen him play good before for stretches when he's played for the Jets and for the Panthers. Why is this time different?
The hope – people who were optimists going into the year said, hey, he's never played for an offensive staff like this. He's never had Justin Jefferson before. And, I had to see it. But now you're seeing it. He leads the NFL in touchdown passes. And he's been accurate. He's thrown a couple of interceptions. But, interceptions in and of themselves, one here or there is not – it's not a death blow. It's just not if you play well and overcome them. He's been generally careful with the ball. He's been accurate. He throws a really nice deep ball. He has gotten on the same page with Jefferson very quickly. He throws the ball well to Naylor. He has a good grasp of situations. So, listen, I got to go back. This is the best he's ever played. Yes, he's had good months before. I don't think he played as well in those months as he's playing in this month. He never led the NFL in touchdown passes before this far into his season. So, once again, it goes back to they identified him as somebody they could work with, and they've gotten the most out of him.
How about Aaron Jones? Goes over 100 yards yesterday. It looked like in the second half there that they wanted to keep him in. As soon as he surpassed 100, they took him out. Thoughts on what he did for the team yesterday?
Yeah, I think his season total so far, and, week 2 didn't do a lot, but they didn't really need him to do a lot. 327 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns. And he just knows how to run. He had that on his long run. He just kind of had that little wiggle through the hole, and he was gone. So he's great football speed, great feel for how to set up blocks, how to set up defenders, how to squeeze extra yards out of runs. He's just putting on a masterclass of how you run without being the most talented running back in the league. How you run, how you take advantage of situations. Ty Chandler looked fine as well, but Jones. And on that Jones play, it was a great O'Connell design where they had Jefferson in the backfield, Jones out, and Jefferson cleared a path for Jones, and they turned it into an easy touchdown. 4 touchdown passes, I think they're all in the red zone. It's just not that easy to operate down there. It's hard to score touchdowns. It's hard to throw the ball into the end zone or near the end zone, and they had play designs and reaction. So the Jones touchdown was a great play design. The Jefferson touchdown early was just Darnold and Jefferson being on the same page, extending the play and finding each other. So, there are a lot of different things that are going well right now.
Jim, as far as the defense, you mentioned they were playing without some key players, and yet they were still able to get the job done. Was it pressure on Stroud? Was it how they defended the receivers? What seemed to make the biggest difference?
All those things go together, and I think signing Gilmore has been just a godsend for Flores and this defense and this team. He just takes people out of action. And Griffin has stood up very well as number 2 corner. Well, he and Murphy are both kind of the 2 and 3 corners together. They can play Bentelis at corner. They haven't had to use young players who don't really grasp the scheme yet. Gilmore has been really big, but it all starts with pressure. You can't cover forever. Even if you're a great corner, you can't cover forever. So it starts with pressure, and they're getting a lot of pressure. They're getting unpredictable pressure. They're getting pressures from all angles. Grenard was excellent yesterday. Van Ginkel's off to a great start this season. They've gotten enough push from the interior line, which is what caused that first interception was, I think, Phillips and Bullard both being able to push the pocket and get close enough where they could tip a pass. So once again, great marriage of talent, depth, and scheme.
Justin Jefferson certainly didn't seem to show any ill effects from the injury from the previous week. Was he close to 100%?
Well, I think he was close to 100. I think it was 100% in the first half. He played great. Second half, he was kind of shaking his hand, and he admitted after the game they went to get x-rays, and O'Connell sounded like he didn't really want to talk about it, so it makes me wonder if there's something going on there. It's probably nothing. He did play in the second half. But that's something to watch. So, and also Darnold said he was going to have his knee checked today. So if you want to be a worried Vikings fans, those are the things to worry about. Jefferson's hand and Darnold's knee. We'll probably know more this afternoon. If we don't know this afternoon, we'll probably know on the injury report Wednesday. But Jefferson said he was okay when we talked to him yesterday.
The hits from former Viking Danielle Hunter, which injured, at least for the time, Sam Darnold. Your thoughts on that? Was that an accidental thing? Do you think it was intentional?
No, he's not a dirty player. I believe that was his first roughing the passer penalty of his entire career. He apologized to O'Neal, said, "Hey, tell him I didn't mean to. I just got kind of blocked into him." Hunter is not a dirty player. It's a terrible thing to have happen to your quarterback when he's playing like this, but it was not a dirty play.
Speaking of a guy that switched teams, that he was with the Texans last year, Jonathan Grenard. Boy, what an impressive sack he had on. I think he pushed the tight end aside and just took down Stroud. That was one of the most dominating, and it wasn't even a running back trying to block him. It was a tight end. How about Grenard in that sack?
Yeah, then he beat a tight end on that one, which he should. But he also beat offensive tackles a couple times too. Great variety of moves, great feel for the game. And yeah, that was almost an insult if Texans would block a guy they know is that good with a tight end, and he took advantage of it. But he also had 2 other sacks and a lot of other plays. And, his coaches had been saying accurately that he had a lot of pressures in the first 2 games, just didn't get paid off with any stats or sacks or flashy plays. But yesterday he did all of the above.
All right, Jim, switching attention to the Twins, who had a bad weekend, and now they're on the outside looking in for a playoff spot. The Royals and Tigers lead the Twins by a game. Seattle's just 2 games back of those 2 teams. Thoughts on the Twins? 6 games left. They're going to need to win some games and get some help.
Yeah, they need to They need a wake-up call. This is bad. That was just bad. I think they scored 4 runs, twice, and they haven't scored more than 4 runs in a while. They've only scored 4 runs a couple times. I think it was both times in extra inning situations where it's easier. The bats, we know they have a short bullpen because of injuries, but you got to win with Pablo Lopez on the mound. So terrible outing from Lopez. But the bigger picture thing is they've stopped grinding out at bats. They're just not, as a team, taking enough good at bats, giving themselves enough of a chance. And now that Lewis, Buxton, and Correa in the lineup together, we can't really blame injuries for that. They're not hitting. And, it really feels like they have collapsed. It's very disappointing to watch, very disheartening. Of course, the pitching also didn't give them a chance yesterday. But the pitching's been up and down during this bad stretch. The hitting has uniformly been not good enough.
Jim, one last one. Minnesota Lynx win. High-scoring affair. Their first game of the series against Phoenix, 102-95. Thoughts on that win? Well,
before the game, Reeve gets Coach of the Year award. Collier gets Defensive Player of the Year award, and they go out and they take like a 26-point lead early. Phoenix came back. Cloud had a great game. Tarasi was good, too. And then they, Phoenix took a lead at one point. It was a 1-point game for a while. Then the Lynx closed very impressively. Hines Allen had a big bucket, but then the big 3 from Collier from Carlton, which we've almost expect now. Kind of the game finishing 3 from Carlton, and it was a contested. It wasn't an easy shot, but she's just shooting with such great confidence right now. I did a piece over the weekend. They went from being the 11th best 3-point shooting team in the league to being the best in the league this year. A lot of it is Katie Smith working with McBride and Carlton, and really getting them to shoot at right near their career high levels.
All right, Jim, what do you got in your podcast?
Full site is up at talknorth.com. Of course, we have John Krasinski on the Wolves, Randy Shaver's high school football show, John Millay on preps, Roy, myself, and Lavelle on baseball. We'll start a new cycle today with the John Krasinski show on the Wolves and the Viking Update show talking about this game and the challenges ahead, and everything's at talknorth.com. All
right, Jim, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
It's Jim Souhan, Star Tribune sports columnist, joining us every weekday morning at this time. Follow him on Twitter at SouhanStrib. Check out his latest column in the Star Tribune or his podcasts at talknorth.com. And Jim, once again today, brought to you by the Green Mill in downtown St. Cloud. News from ABC's next on WJON.